his boots crunching on the thin layer of icy snow. The scent of pine from the wreath on the door hit him on the steps. Since Mrs. Gilbert had taken a shine to him years ago, he gave a hard rap on the door, opened it, and walked in calling out, "Hey, Mrs. Gilbert, it's me, Dex." "Well, hey yourself, handsome. I'm in the kitchen. Come on back." Dex walked through the house feeling as comfortable as he did in his own grandmother's place. Mrs. Gilbert sat at the table smiling at him with an odd look in her eyes that sent a shiver running up his spine. He gave her a friendly peck on the cheek and sat across from her. Her hands trembled a bit before she brought the mug of tea up to her lips for a sip. Lemon and the scent of something else hung in the air, teasing his senses, making him think he should remember that sweet smell. "I saw a moving truck at the house." Mrs. Gilbert eyed him intently. "Now that the work is finished, it's time the house had some life in it," she said with a smile. "A family's exactly what that place needs." "It's certainly big enough for one. I hope your tenant can cover the mortgage you must have needed for such a large addition." The house had been left to Mrs. Gilbert free and clear upon the Swains' deaths. "The insurance paid for the major damage. Abigail paid the rest." The mention of her name made his gut ripple. It was his fault Mrs. Gilbert hadn't seen her granddaughter in 10 years. And yet, she'd hired him as her lawyer and treated him like family. He didn't deserve her generosity or her friendship, but she offered him both without reservation. He had a million questions he'd like to ask, but the day Mrs. Gilbert hired him and he asked about getting in touch with Abigail, she shut him down with an unequivocal, "I can't tell you where she is or how to get in touch with her." He'd wanted to push, but something in her sad and wary eyes warned him to let it go even if he didn't want to. Sticking to business, Dex took the papers out of his briefcase and placed them on the table in front of her. "Sign on the dotted line. The house and property will be Abigail's." Her name stuck in his throat. She signed the papers, and that odd feeling crept over him again. "Do you need my